Good evening, everyone. We are back with a new event called Focus Next India. The main objective of this event is to create awareness and bring equity among students across India. The first phase of this initiative is to focus on Northeastern students. A warm welcome to each one of you present here. As a part of creating awareness, we present your first live interactive session with an amazing personality. Before we move on, we heartily thank everyone who have been trusting us and joined us in this overwhelming journey of empowering the youth of the nation. The topic today we are going to talk about is entrepreneurship and brand building. The two fancy terms raising excitement in the realm of today's modern world. We see many students striving to make remarkable achievements in this domain of career. Of course, we are also a part of it. Today, we have a salient personality who has reached supreme heights in the field of entrepreneurship. Before we welcome him onto the screen, let us know about the grand saga of his journey through a video.
Mark LAITFLANG STONE is an award-winning serial entrepreneur, impact speaker, life coach, soft skills and leadership trainer, and is the founder and CEO of Avenues, Northeast India's pioneering life coaching and personal excellence training social enterprise. Mark's passion for helping people see and bring out the best in themselves has taken him across the world through coaching initiatives that create safe spaces for purpose, potential, and peace to be discovered. Coaching audiences in India, Europe, and Southeast Asia and inspiring them with his speeches. Mark's own story of aspiration and resilience is deeply moving. For his pioneering work in life coaching and employability interventions for tribal youth, a regional panel of peers and leaders felicitated him with the first ever Northeast Young Heroes Award for Education in 2020. Mark's experiences across these diverse fields echoes inspiration, courage, and entrepreneurial grit, all of it built on his passion to help young people prepare for a world of possibilities amidst a life of uncertainties.
That was such an inspiring video. Over the course of more than 20 years, Mark Sir has built innovative, high impact businesses and teams in hospitality services, skills development, and breaking records for each. A journey to talk of and a journey to get inspired, more than anything, a journey to learn from. Here today, we have Mark Sir to interact with us and inspire the upcoming youth. With all due respect, let us welcome Mr. Mark Lifelong Stone onto the screen.
Thank you, Satvika. Very, very encouraging to hear all of that. I think half of it is something that you've all created based on what you've read. And of course, this session will help us clarify what we mean when we think of entrepreneurship, especially in the Northeast context. Thank you.
So, a hearty welcome to you, sir. So, actually, we are quite thrilled to see you today. The warmest congratulations on your achievements on behalf of my whole team. So,
Thank
sir,
you.
how do you feel? How do you feel about inspiring a lot of young minds to strive for fulfilling their dreams?
It'll always be very difficult for me to accept that I'm even considered to be somebody who might be an inspiration or who might create change by saying a few words or speaking to students or speaking to young people. The truth is, I myself would have never seen me in this light today. Growing up, I was a part of a very famous school in a hill station in our country in Shillong, called St. Edmund's School. And those of you who are from that campus or who have heard of it will know that it is one of the most special campuses in the Northeast. But growing up, I was not the best student. I was not the best performer in school. In fact, I was one of the youngest members of my class and the guy who was always called out last to do things. I would have never thought that I would ever get on a stage and speak in public, leave alone, speak to thousands across the world at some point. So this is all, when I look back at it, this is a long shot. I was not supposed to be here doing all of this. Growing up, I never saw this in my life. So I want to start with that. I want to start by saying, no matter how far along the journey you've come, it is very important to remember, your roots and where you've come from. And one of the most important things that I recognize that I'm trying to reconcile with now is the idea that despite what everybody else says, about being an inspiration and saying all of these things that sound good, you have to always ask yourself, are you actually doing the work you set out to do? Are you actually achieving the mission that you have outlined for yourself and your team? Are you truly creating impact that isn't just words, but is also action? And that takes me back to the motto of my school that has been so well ingrained in me, facta non verba, which is Latin for deeds, not words. So I'd like to leave it at that. Inspiration is only as relevant as your impact.
So, such excellent words that we get to hear from you, sir. So, what was the driving force that made you stick to your passion?
It's a very good question, Satvika.
Thank you.
In fact, it's something that a lot of us struggle with as we grow older. A lot of us who are even at the age that I am. So today I am on the brink of turning 40. I'm 39 today. And I have been an entrepreneur since the age of 17. So this is my 22nd year of entrepreneurship, and 20 years leading an enterprise that I'm very proud of called Avenues. And the reason why I started Avenues in the first place was to find a way to provide employment opportunities at the turn of the millennium. People were talking about the ITES sector, the call center industry. They were talking about IT technologies being the next big thing. And this was in 1999, 2000, when I had just chosen to, leave my studies halfway and just completely pursue a path of independence. And I remember when we started Avenues, the initial intention was to help people become better at communicating so they would be able to get through their interviews and be part of this burgeoning, this blossoming call center industry, in the country. And it went very, very well. But I realized very quickly that the partner I was working with at the time and the organizations that I was working with at the time weren't really interested in the future growth of our youth and our children in the Northeast. They wanted employable, proficient, well spoken individuals to join their companies to obviously help them lower costs and get great quality at the same time. And the place to come to was the Northeast. But I saw there was so much more value in the work that we were doing. We were creating confidence. And a lot of people will say, confidence? How do you define confidence? I mean, it's such a huge word. But when I think of confidence, I think of the fact that even today, if I were to ask you or anybody else, and we've worked with, I think there are some students here from engineering colleges and from some technical institutions in the country. If you're here from the NITs of the Northeast, I mean, I love you guys. Just, send me a thumbs up or just type in a message out here. We've had a very long association from 2014 to 17, I think, with NIT Manipur, 3 years running, where we were the partners for the institution for developing soft skills and interviewing skills. So we have a very close association to NIT Manipur, NIT Aizawl, especially in Mizoram and then in Nagaland. So there are a couple of NIT campuses that are close to our hearts. And if you're signing in from one of these institutions, it's a pleasure to see you here. But going back to the point of, choosing to pursue something and not giving up, a lot of people will tell you when you begin something, you should invest in doing something you love. And I will tell you why this works. A lot of the time, when you're young, you are driven towards doing something that either your parents have told you you must do, or your friends are all doing, and you think, it's called FOMO, the fear of missing out. You feel like they will go ahead, they'll get those opportunities, and you'll be left behind. So for me, it's very important for you to recognize that doing what you love most of the time is doing what everybody else isn't doing, because that's special to you. It takes a great deal of courage. It's a big risk because the truth is you want stability early on. You want to have some sense of security. You want to have some sense of income coming in, and you want to know that you haven't wasted your parents' investments in putting you into a technical college and having you attend a university of choice, only to find that you don't know exactly what you want to do in your life. But like I say to everybody else who I speak with, And if you're listening, you can say this with me. If anybody asks you today, what are you going to do with your life? You're in your 20s right now, or maybe early 20s, or in your late teens. The thing that you should be saying is to look at them right in the face. You can say this with me right now and tell them, I don't know. I mean, it's okay to say I don't know. There's so much weight and pressure on having to know what path you have to be on, that a lot of people don't realize in the last 1 or 2 years what you thought you know and what you thought you knew has completely changed. The careers you wanted don't exist anymore. New domains have opened up. The work you wanted to do is not the same anymore. New ways of doing the work you thought you had to do have now emerged. So, what is it really? What are you going to tell people the next time they ask you, what is it that you want to achieve in your life? And to me, the answer is always, I don't know, but I'll tell you when I get there. You have to be able to be confident enough to say to everybody and tell them, don't worry. We all have our own journeys. I'm on my path and I will get there. So here's your answer, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. You can look at the person asking you this question and say, I don't know, but I know I'm getting there. When you say that to yourself, it's a great stress off your shoulders and your minds, because everybody has their own path. But back to your question, Satvika, about finding what really makes you tick, uh, loving what you do, keeping at it. I think in your 20s, it's very important to explore every opportunity that comes to you, to not say no to opportunity. In your 20s is the time to experiment, to explore, to find something that sticks to you, that speaks to you, that works only for you, and that you fall in love with. Some of us find that out very early in life. Some of us take a little bit of time, and that's okay. Sabka time aata hai, as they say. But eventually, you will find that one thing that you genuinely love doing. And if you can turn into an entrepreneur by identifying how that particular thing can help to solve a problem in the world, you have now created a solution that people want to hear about. And for every solution, there is a taker. You will have a market, you will have someone who will be interested. But what we fail to do is connect our passion, something you really love, with a problem that you're solving. Normally, we just look at the passion and say, I love doing this, and that's all I know. But the ones who truly succeed are the ones who are able to say, I love doing this, and here is how it's going to solve a problem in the world. And this is the business model I'm using to solve that problem. If you can marry all three things, what you love doing, solving a world problem or solving a common local problem, with a business model that makes sense, you have the winning formula for starting an enterprise. And that would be the root of entrepreneurial thinking. I'm going to leave it at that, Satvika. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of other questions.
Yes, that's so amazing, sir. So I'm quite happy that the students will be learning a lot from you today. So, okay, sir, without any further ado, let's dive into something more interesting. We have many questions waiting for you, actually. Hope this session helps all the budding entrepreneurs into like who are striving to achieve something.
Can I
So the
suggest
first
something,
question,
Satvika? So I'm
yes,
so
sir.
sorry to interrupt you. Just a small little
Yes,
thing. I'm looking
yes,
at
sir.
a few of these comments out here. It's very sweet to see. I wish we could find the other vertical here on Facebook if it is, but I'm looking at some of these questions. And I think a very nice way to go about it is to let me not talk about my journey. Let me answer your questions today. I'll take a story from my life to try and help you answer a question, and hopefully it'll help you relate with me and maybe find an answer for yourself. Let's do it like that, Satvika. Are you okay with this?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, so you can send me some questions. Let's start.
Okay, so can I start asking my questions?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, sir. So the first question is, what significance does entrepreneurship play in the present scenario?
Oh, entrepreneurship is everything. I mean, you cannot call it significant. It is everything now, because an entrepreneur isn't somebody who just runs a business. An entrepreneur is somebody who's able to think through a problem, break it apart, bring people together to see a common solution, and then drive that through action. Entrepreneurship is leadership in action. Entrepreneurship is life now. It is a life skill. And if you're going to be working in a team, when you lead, you must lead like an entrepreneur would lead. And what's the number one thing that sets an entrepreneur apart from everyone else? If if you haven't thought about it deeply enough, today when I think about entrepreneurship, I know that the one thing that separates an entrepreneur from, let's say, a leader or somebody who's on a salary is the fact that you are responsible for the outcomes of your decisions. You are responsible for the failures, and you are also accountable to your stakeholders. It starts with you, it continues through your team, but no matter what the end is on you to deliver well. And that's the difference between just being somebody who's leading and being an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur takes the risk. That's the number one thing you have to remember about entrepreneurship. You're willing to take the risk to make an impact and to lose everything while you do it. That is what defines legendary entrepreneurship. That someone somewhere, a woman like yourself, Satvika, or a gentleman like me from some unknown place in the world, can come up with something so beautiful and so unique, but which is fraught with so much risk, create a winning model out of it, and in 2 to 5 years be the next big thing on the planet. It happens. So entrepreneurship is significant in so many ways I cannot even begin to count. But let me list three. The first way in which entrepreneurship is significant is the fact that there is no other livelihood on the planet that can create jobs. It is the entrepreneurs who create jobs for other people. So you're now a job creator. That's number one. Number two, being an entrepreneur allows you to be in charge of your own decisions. Whether they're good or bad, you learn from those decisions. But being an entrepreneur has a significant impact on you personally, much ahead of your academics, your employment, your career. Taking on the risk of being an entrepreneur is a real kick in the backside because it teaches you the lessons of life that a job cushions you from. You have a cushion. If you have a job, your leader takes the fall, or maybe the boss that you report to helps you through a problem. But as somebody who's starting something from scratch, the risk is on you, the learning is on you, the mistakes are on you. That's very significant. The personal journey you go through, even if at some point in your life you take a business idea and turn it into something real, that journey of learning, wow, I mean, that would beat an MBA at the most prestigious universities that I know of. Learning it on your own. So that's number two, the impact on your learning, on your personal journey. And number three, if more young people like you and I just decided to say to ourselves, you know, let's just put safety and security and stability on the side for now and focus on trying to build something that has value in the community, that brings many people together, and that shows a common solution to a common problem. What you're now doing is you have a significant impact not just on your journey or on your lessons, but also on your community around you. So entrepreneurship creates jobs, yes. Entrepreneurship has significant learnings for you as a person, yes. But it also helps to create a culture where we don't criticize someone for failing. The more you have entrepreneurs in the making in our country, the more young people decide to take the risk to be entrepreneurs, the more we normalize the conversation. And I'm fed up of the term entrepreneurship, to be honest. Entrepreneur this, entrepreneur that, entrepreneurship here, entrepreneurship there, entrepreneur of the year. I mean, entrepreneurship is truly a word that must not be spoken about anymore because there are so many ways of looking at it, and nobody gets to the root of what entrepreneurship really means. So today, instead of using the word entrepreneurship, I want to use the word personal impact, this phrase. As an entrepreneur, you have a responsibility to have not just influence, not to just make a difference. You have a responsibility to make an impact. And it is only individuals who choose to move forward with winning ideas. Nobody else has to believe you. That's the whole point. If everybody did, they'd all be doing it, right? You are special because you have something that only you can see. And if you didn't live that out, you would be lying to yourself, wouldn't you? Because this is something that came to your dreams, to your mind. So, the third most significant part of entrepreneurship is the impact that it has on our culture. If more and more people began to embrace the idea of being, there's a phrase here, I'm going to use it, I hope you remember it, of being self starters. It means you choose to start on your own, no matter where you are, no matter what you have, no matter what your background is, no matter what your parents did for a living, no matter what your brother and sister are doing in their lives. You are responsible for you and your choices, right? So why wait? And if more people began to believe in this idea of not waiting but starting, the idea of not being perfect but being imperfect and learning, then what happens is we're creating a culture in our country of embracing the effort. We then celebrate the effort. We say, Shabash, well done, good job. You made the effort, man, woman, lady, boy, girl. I mean, you made the effort, you made the choice. And now, whether it's failed or not, that's no problem. The point is, you tried, you learned. So the next time you do it, you can do it even better. So I will always say entrepreneurship has a significant impact on jobs. Yes, you create jobs. If you're successful, you can be a job creator for thousands of people. Number two, it has a significant learning path that you can gain from. And even if your venture fails, the amount of learning you've had, you can take into your next job and lead with class, poise, and tenacity because you learned it. And third is the impact you have on your community and your culture because now you're encouraging a culture where people embrace the effort and they recognize that failure is not failure. Failure deserves a celebration because it means somebody tried in order to fail. And if more people tried, more people would succeed. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. That is the impact of entrepreneurship. It's everything.
Okay. So, what should be the qualities of an entrepreneur? Like, what should an aspiring entrepreneur should be aware of before he starts something?
Again, that's a very nice question. Uh, I'm going to speak about a couple of qualities that come to my mind as I talk to you right now. Um, Let me find something very special here. I don't know if I can do this right now, but I'd like to share a screen if that's okay. There's something I prepared for all of you. I thought
Okay.
we could maybe talk about this, okay? But I'm going to pull up a few slides that could really make a difference to each of you if you took a screenshot of this and maybe kept it on your wall somewhere. Remember, this came from some crazy speaker, some crazy entrepreneur from Northeast India. Maybe it'll help you. But I would like to show you something here. All right. So I'm going to pull this up right now. Just give me a
Yes.
second. And before I do that, I would like to just take out StreamYard and put this on the screen. Here we go. 1 second, people. Okay. Let me try and show you what I have here. Yes. Can you see my screen?
No, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it visible? What are the words you see on the screen, Satvika?
Actually, I can't see the screen.
I think you're going to have to pull it up onto the screen, perhaps. There will be a third window in your background that you'll have to pull up. Is it visible on your screen? Okay. If that's not happening, I can just spell it out right here for each of you. But it should be possible. Let me try this one last time. 1 second, folks. 1 second. Here we go. Share screen. Okay. I'm trying something out here, everybody. I hope this works. Here we go. Is that visible?
Yes, sir.
Great. I'm going to put this onto a slide mode and let's see. Can you see that?
Yes, sir. I can
What are
see.
the words that you see on the screen, Satvika?
It says start strong, finish stronger.
Super. This is something that is a motto, that is a primary quality that you must take into your journey as an entrepreneur, as a leader. So I want you to put this phrase down. If you have it somewhere, or if you'd like to take a screenshot of this, this is something that my team and I believe in with all our hearts. I'm going to show you a couple of slides, and I want you to look at these very carefully. You talked about qualities, and I want to list a few things for you. One is, of course, starting strong and finishing stronger. The second, if you can read that for all of us, please. Own your space. Satvika, I hope you can see this.
No, sir, I'm just seeing the first slide. Maybe I have
Hmm.
some work issue.
So I think that we are going to have a technical issue here, for which reason I'm going to stop sharing. But I will take you through that first set of qualities. To reiterate what you just said, you were speaking about starting strong and finishing stronger. And I loved, I loved how everyone who ever heard this would choose to try and imbibe it. And I hope it works for all of you. Starting strong and finishing stronger is the idea that as an entrepreneur, you really have to remember you're not remembered for the many things you say you're going to start. Eventually, the true caliber of a leader, of an entrepreneur, of a professional is measured by the things he or she chooses to finish. Because it's what you finish that's measured, not what is half done. So there's a saying we use which is called no half measures. You go all the way to ensure that whatever you want to achieve starts strong, yes, but you also finish that very strong. You finish it stronger. So that's the very first quality I'd like to speak about when I would talk to a budding entrepreneur. You have to be able to think through the idea that any mission you take up, any project you take on, begins with you, ends with you. The team is in the middle, yes, but you have to take complete accountability for what you choose to start and how you choose to finish it. And the best way I could put that to you is by saying the phrase start strong and finish stronger. Okay.
Stronger.
Uh, so that's a very, very important, I would say, quality in an entrepreneur today. There are a couple of comments that are coming in out here. Just a second. Necessary to create new things. Yes. All right. There are a couple of other messages coming in here on YouTube. So let me just revisit the qualities again. The first is starting strong and finishing stronger, which in one word could be defined as persistence. Okay. The second quality that I want you to reflect on as an entrepreneur is the words or is the phrase, keep it real. If you can say it to yourself, or you can type it out on the screen out here so I know you've heard me. Try and use the phrase, keep it real in all of your transactions and all of your understandings of your work. To me, the phrase keep it real means always being truthful to the numbers. The numbers do not lie. It's very easy as an engineer, as a technical personality, to put together a spreadsheet, to forecast data, to show where you think your business is going to be in the next 2 or 3 years. But the truth is, the actual numbers do not lie. And if you have to keep it real, remember your investors in the future, your accelerator labs, your innovation hubs, and the panels that choose these ideas are always looking for what you call the X factor of an entrepreneur. If they choose you, if they select your idea, or if they decide to fund you, the one common thing that investors and fund backers would look for is your genuineness. How authentic are you as a person? How real are you? Or are you just putting up a show? And your numbers will never lie. So remember, there are three facets to your business. It is your vision, yes, very important. It is what pulls you forward. It's if you imagine a magnet in front of you that pulls you forward, that would be your vision. It has to be so inspiring that it makes you want to move forward all the time.
Yes.
The second is your reality. Yes, that's my vision, but this is where I am right now. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't make it more than it should be. Don't make it sound like it's something it is not. Just be real. Keep it real. And the third are your numbers. If all these three things align, your vision, your current status is heading towards that vision, and your numbers, your data, your revenue, your shares, your business proceedings, your expenses are all accountable. A lot of organizations today are after what you call the next big round, the next big round of investments. the valuation of your business. Now, if you are connected to the world of entrepreneurship, if you have heard about the unicorns in our country, you know what's a unicorn? It's a
Mm,
mythical creature with a horn on its head. But a unicorn in entrepreneurship means an organization that has reached a mythical, almost legendary valuation of over $1 billion. Its entire set of assets, its resources, its income, all gives it a valuation of over $1 billion. I mean, that's thousands of crores. We would never see it in one lifetime. The reason why you will also see a lot of these organizations overnight transition from being $1 billion empires to being completely bankrupt is because they were bankrupt of their morals and their values to begin with. The vision was driven by investments and valuation, not by values and investment. It was driven by valuations and investment. Now, a valuation is what your company is valued at. Your values are what you bring to your company. They are very different things. If your true value should be spoken about, it should never be about what's on the balance sheet. It's what you bring to your organization. That's what lasts. What's on a balance sheet today for a lot of organizations can be fudged, can be falsified, can be made to look really good, and can be made to be investor friendly. But the smarter investors, the genuine ones who want you to win, are the ones who look at you and find out, do you truly believe in what you're doing? Are you truly convinced that your mission is genuine and legitimate? Are you truly somebody who will take this business to a completely different level because of your visionary clarity and your direction? And is your team the rock bed of your foundation, your enterprise is your team? Is your team strong enough mentally, emotionally, and professionally to drive that vision? And finally, are your finances in order? Keep it real, guys. Your team, your leadership, your numbers, as long as you're on the right path and you're keeping it real, you will not be driven by valuation. You will be driven by values. And it's the values that last, not the valuations. That's number two. And the third and final quality I'd like to put on the table as an entrepreneur, the one quality that I really want you to take home from the session is simple, two words. And I want you to say it with me. I know I can't see you all, but if you're there, truly think about that one big idea that you have, that business that you think you could run. I don't care what it is. It could be a cyber cafe, it could be a rickshaw service, it could be a bread and bakes outlet, it could be a tailoring store, or it could be the next $1 billion idea in IT and technology. I don't care what it is. It has to speak to you. That's what's important. I shouldn't have to worry about it. It's your dream. And the only way to truly go after something is to truly give it your best. So I have two words I want you to remember. And the words are all in. If you're not all in, you're all out. And I say this to my teams and to my partners and to our stakeholders with anything we want to pursue. And I must tell you, in our context, in our region, our organization has worked with over 100,000 young boys and girls, your age, maybe younger, helping them acquire the skills they need to be confident, to think clearly through their career paths, to be able to communicate their ideas into the world, to manage their emotions and really do better with negativity. And most importantly, to do what needs to be done to take action in their lives. And this organization is called Avenues. We pioneered the idea of personal excellence coaching 20 years ago. Next year, my state, Meghalaya, which in Sanskrit means the land where the clouds come home, Meghalaya is going to be 50 years next year, 50 years of statehood. Uh, my organization is going to be 20 years in the same year that Meghalaya turns 50. So it's a very proud moment for all of us. And to each of our team members, the one thing that guides us all in all our divisions, and we run about 6 different business divisions, the two keywords that we look at when we're interviewing someone or when we're reviewing their performance, maybe in a quarter or every month, is whether they truly are all in or they're halfway there. There's no such thing as being half committed. You can't be half committed to walking to the door, can you? You can't be half committed to lifting up a cup of coffee and drinking a sip. Otherwise, you'll be doing this. There'd be no coffee in your mouth. You're all in or you're all out. So, on that note, on saying that you have to be completely committed to your idea, I will say cheers to that with a cup of coffee. All in. Satvika, over to you.
It's so amazing. The other question I have is, what kind of hurdles you faced during this journey and how you overcame them? Like, what kind of ways you used to overcome them?
I think the most important hurdle that any entrepreneur will face is acceptance. Maybe it's because of where you come from. Maybe it will be because of your qualifications. Maybe it will be because your idea sounds stupid to the world or sounds silly, but you know that it might work. The one big hurdle you'll have to face is always going to be acceptance. And it shouldn't matter. Acceptance comes from a mind that says, without somebody else telling me I'm good, or without the world saying to me, this is a great idea, without those things, it's called validation. All right. So if somebody wants to validate my idea and say, very well done, that's a great idea, then only I will move. But all the greats, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, uh, uh, our own Narayan Murthy, Infosys, who I consider with great pride and respect, our own JRD Tata, and now, of course, Ratan Tata, our own Ambanis, the original founding pillar of all of these great empires was always this notion, the idea that everything starts from one person's dream, yes, but that ability to go after it, that tenacity to be completely committed, to be all in, that is something that, so few people today have, because you're always thinking about how to move to the next big project. You know, uh, there's something that someone really, really wise has shown me over the years, and I mean, I won't mention any names here, but there's a very beautiful saying, when you are doing something really good in your life, it'll never be good enough, because you're always looking at the other side, the other entrepreneur or my neighbor or my friend, and you're always saying, kash main bhi dot, kash wo bhi dot, if only I was out there, if only it was me who was doing that. Because whether you like it or not, uh, you will always admit, and tell me I'm wrong or if I'm right, that the grass is always greener somewhere else, never where you are. Where you are is a struggle, but you look somewhere else and say, wow, I wish I was him, or I wish I had that, or I wish I could do that. I mean, the truth is, the grass, yes, it may look green over there, but the grass will turn greener where you choose to water it. Where will you water your grass? Right where you stand, right? Not in your neighbor's compound, not in your friend's garden, not on another continent, another planet somewhere else. You'll be doing it right here. So, as an entrepreneur who's looking to, get over this hurdle of acceptance, you have to remember, acceptance should not drive your business. You investing in your organization, watering your own grass because you believe in your vision so strongly that sooner or later, that one person who said, no, I don't believe in your idea, turns into an army of people who say they truly believe in what you're doing, because they can see the fruit of your labor. They can see the impact of your work. And it has happened because you've chosen to water the grass where you stand. So whenever I think about entrepreneurship and hurdles, the biggest hurdle, more than acceptance, more than your profitability, and I will give you specific hurdles, but I want to talk about the mind, inside you as an entrepreneur. And you're talking to a guy who started entrepreneurship at 17. Okay, so when I talk to you guys, I've done everything. I mean, I've swept floors, I've spoken on shows, I have taught IT security, I've taught programming, I've taught animation, I sold flowers. That was my first job for a living. Um, anything you can think of, to try and survive, to try and make some kind of income. I have done. So for me to speak to you at this point in my life, after being an entrepreneur for 22 years, I'm no legend like a Tata. I hope to someday be blessed with that opportunity. But I know in my own small way, I'm proud of my work because my team is the most beautiful team you'll ever meet. If anybody were to ask me, what is the biggest hurdle that faces an entrepreneur, I will tell you from what I just said is these three things. Number one is your ability to keep going. It's in your mind. Can you keep going? Can you keep persisting? It was a good 15 years before what we were talking about, this need for confidence and life skills and just improvement of leadership for tribal youth, before it was actually accepted by the masses. It took a good 15 years for us to even build out a model that worked. And I wouldn't have lasted 15 years if I didn't truly love the work I did. So the hurdle of persistence, of staying true to your path, is a very big hurdle that you can only get over if you truly love what you do, if you truly believe in it. So that's number one. Number two is the right team. Now, the thing that will hurt you the most when you're building an enterprise, the thing that will really, really break you down is when you think you've got the best people around you and they let you down because they move on to a better opportunity, because they move on to a better job, because the grass was greener there, you know. And you have to realize as you go on your journey as an entrepreneur, uh, this will happen. People will leave, people will come and go, but your job is to leave them better for having worked with you so that when they go out into the world, your brand, your organization is in their blood. Those values run through them. And whenever they work, they say, hey, that person worked with Satvika, must be a great individual. That person was on the PLADEX planning committee. Great people. They're very professional. That person worked with Mr. Mark and his team at Avenues. They're very, very um, energized and positive and encouraging, So whatever you do with your team eventually will speak to the world. Maybe it will happen at the time that they're working with you, but most often it happens when they leave you. And when people say, that looks like someone who's an Avenues team member, my team, or that looks like someone who comes from the Tata family, or that looks like somebody who works with geo networks. It really is up to you what values you choose to reflect in the world. So, the second hurdle of keeping a team together has multiple angles to it. Now, on a larger conversation, I would tell you what I would use to build a great team. But for now, since you asked just about the hurdles, not the solutions, I'll very briefly tell you the right mix of a team doesn't have to be the most brilliant people you can find. The right mix of a team is people who do great things on their own, but do brilliant things together. Again, I'm repeating it. They're great on their own, but they're even more brilliant together. And your job as a leader is to bring all of these various talents together, put them onto one common platform of values, direction, ambition, and growth, and allow their collective values and energy to create something brilliant that you could have never dreamed of before. And that's when it becomes about the team and not about you. And to me, that is a successful entrepreneur. The third hurdle that you will face will always, always be money. Whether you like it or not, finance will be a very, very big part of whatever you do, think, say, feel, or act on. You will need the funds to move ahead. But if you are wise and if you are smart about your money, I'm not talking about intelligent or qualified, I'm saying smart. At the end of the day, business is two things: something goes out and something comes in. As long as you're able to control how much goes out and increase how much comes in, you will always have something extra in the bank. We fail with this one very basic principle: how much is going out and how much is coming in. That's it. Keep your eye on these two things. And like I said to you, keep it real. If you don't have a lot coming in, please don't spend a lot on what's going out. It doesn't make sense. There's a phrase that my dad used to use with me a lot. Mark, you have to cut your cloth according to what you have. So my advice to you would be, take a look at what you have, Remember, the one thing that is a myth is that you need money to start a business. No, I refuse to believe it. You do not. You need goodwill, good friends, something you can borrow from here and there. Some people who believe in you. You need people to start a business. You need believers to start a business. And no one's going to believe you unless you believe in yourself first, because they can see it in your eyes. They'll know when you're lying. So money will always be a challenge as you grow, as you scale, and learning how to manage it's called a cash flow, knowing how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. You cannot run an organization, you cannot run a business if you cannot manage your finances. If you can't do it, hire someone this is the only place where I'll say, hire someone who's smarter than you, who over many years proves to you, that they're trustworthy. You'll know who I'm talking about, someone in your circle, someone you can really count on, and ask them for advice. And at the end of the day, remember, if you can't learn tally and you can't learn accounts, forget it. Learn how to use Microsoft Excel. Learn how to use a basic spreadsheet tool to track your expenses and your profits, and keep it real. Do not cut your cloth more than what you have in your hand. So, expenses going out, income coming in, always a hurdle. How do you get over it? Be aware and always have a backup. And if you don't, the best advice I can give you is to be regular with your banking. One small little tip from me, from the many years of doing the work that I do. Sometimes your bank can be your best friend. It can also be your enemy, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to speak about how the banking system in India today can be your best friend if you truly understand that banking is about relationships, it's about integrity, and it is about trust. If you've had a savings account with your bank and a current account, which is the kind of account you have to open for a business for many years, and your bankers can see that you have good discipline, your money goes in, your money is spent on your salaries and your expenses, and you always have a positive balance in your account. They can see that you have an office, you've got infrastructure, you've got some assets, something basic, or they simply know that you're a good person who had a great job, you want to do something on your own, and your branch manager is close to you. Do you know every branch manager has the power to lend you something small simply because he has the discretion to do it? Of course, you have to have your papers in place, you have to have some basic securities in place. But there are certain loans now from the Indian government's policy framework that can be given to small enterprises without any collateral, without any land, without any guarantors, just because of the validity of your idea and your relationship with your banker. So, as soon as you can, open up an account. Have a good long term relationship with the bank that you choose. Get to know your branch managers. Let them see your growth. Let them see your business. Build your trust. Take your first small little loan, 25,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees. Return it on time. Build your trust. Take a bigger loan. Return it on time. Build your trust. Put in a fixed deposit. Take a loan against that. Build your trust. But remember, a smart business person would not use his own money to fund his expansion. You have to remember, when you're ready for it and you have enough in the bank, sure, invest. But that third hurdle of finances will always be a problem if you don't know what's going out and what's coming in. If nothing's coming in, it doesn't mean your idea has to die. It just means that maybe your idea, your model has to change slightly. The way you talk about it has to change a little bit. The people you're going to have to be a little more different. And sooner or later, something will happen that will allow that idea to click. But stay persistent. A lot of times we choose to give up just before we're about to hit gold, you know, and somebody else will come and go down that path you were on, and they will strike gold without doing all the hard work that you put in. Having said that, it's also important to remember when you need to know that it's okay, that some ideas just don't work and you have to let go. That too will happen at some point in your life. You just have to discern what is worth hanging on to and what you must let go of. And hopefully you won't wait too long, because if you do, it could lead to liabilities that you might never be able to recover. So yes, it's all a risk, but those are your three hurdles. Again, to repeat, Satvika, I hope you were with me on this and everybody listening here. The first hurdle, of course, is the idea that acceptance will be a problem. You have to keep at your idea. So that persistence that has to come from you. persisting with your idea, but also knowing when to give up when the time is right. If it's not working, admit it, close shop, move on to the next thing, learn from that. Number two hurdle is the team. How do you build that team? And remember what I told you, great people can do brilliant things if they work together. So you don't want to have people on the team who think they're too good for everybody else. Everybody is a human being. Everybody is respected. Everybody has their own path. Hopefully, you as a leader can bring them together. That's the most important thing of a solid business. And number three is, of course, your eye on the money. You've got to be smart. What comes in, what goes out. That's it. That's the three I'd start with.
Okay, so after listening to all of your answers, I'm sure that session has got more informative and more lively. So we are even having an amazing response from the audience too. So with all this energy, shall we take up few questions from the live chat, sir?
Sure.
Okay, so viewers, now begins the Q&A session. Get hyped up and let your all of your questions out so that we can ask them to our eminent personality here. So,
You can pick up a few questions, or if you have your own as well, we can look at that. I'm trying to pull up the TEDx file on Facebook and see if you have any questions there.
sir, we have many questions. So Asif Ali asked, "What's the one most ingredient to turn our idea into reality?"
What is the one most ingredient turn out idea into reality, sir? Well, I think what Asif Sheikh is asking is, what's the one thing that you need to do to turn your idea into reality? The thing is action, man. You have to
Yes.
act. If you're not going to act, your idea will stay up here. It'll never become a reality. Uh, any good idea, just by starting to act on it, will either defend itself or fall by the wayside. You know what I mean by this is, unless you act on the idea, you will not know if it works or not. You have to take the actions to turn that idea into reality. And here are the steps. Okay, I would start with the way you think about the idea, and I can maybe help you through with that. So the first thing you do is, any idea, and I'm going to do a small little exercise with you here in critical thinking. Okay, uh, if you are planning to turn your idea into a business, ask yourself a few questions. Ask yourself, what problem am I going to solve by turning my idea into a reality? What will my idea solve? What problem is it solving? That's number one. Number two, by when do I want to start this idea, and with whom? Where would I like to do it? Why am I doing it is even more important. So you ask yourself, what, when, where, and why? And then you come to the final step, which is how. How will I turn this idea into reality? So ask yourself these five W's and one H model that we use, to think about it, anything. What is it about? When is it going to happen? Why must it happen? Who is it for? Where is it going to take place? If you can answer these questions for yourself, you've already started thinking about how to turn your idea into reality, you know? And then finally, the actions that comes from the how. How will you make it happen? Now, if you had a specific suggestion or a specific business, I could do a one on one with you and help you understand how you take an idea into action. But this is all about a specific model for a specific purpose. Uh, if you're in the service sector, for example, right? In the service sector, let's just say, for example, you want to run. Okay, I'm going to give you something very easy as an example that comes from my own life. All right. A year and a half ago, the world changed. The pandemic hit us, there was a global lockdown, and we did not know if our businesses would survive. Now, I had an idea. My idea was to try and find a way to help the government of the day run the emergency services, run the COVID helplines in a more efficient manner. This was my idea. because any government today lacks people to do people intensive jobs like picking up phone calls, like surveys, like data work. These are very easy to see gaps. Sometimes it's not a problem, it's a gap, and by solving a gap you've addressed a potential problem. So in our case it was, how many thousands of citizens could one department call? How many thousands of people could we track with their symptoms? How many thousands of people could we follow up on for vaccinations? And we said the idea was to put together a group of people who would do this on behalf of the state government's health department, and who would do it simply because it was the right thing to do. No money, no commerce, just commitment. And when we brought these people together, we created Meghalaya's first citizen support network because of an idea. What did we do? We put the idea out into the internet, put out a small little visual. We're looking for volunteers to come together for this first ever citizen support network. In under 24 hours, we had 500 plus applications. Why? Because the idea and the timing and the need matched. It came at the right time. And then we had to turn that entire team who were not able to come to a physical office into a professional team of trust and accountability. Now, how do you do that when people are not with you, when you can't see them? So building that from an idea into a fully running division. Today, the division employs over 150 men and women, a brand new division. It's just finished its first year anniversary. It is now a revenue making business. It now runs 3 state helplines, conducts thousands of remote surveys every month, because we created a model that could be usable in any scenario. But it all started with someone choosing. You know how that idea started? I put out a video. I shot a video like this and I said, if you feel passionately about helping our state do better in a time of crisis, come together. Apply now. Here's the link. I use technical skills. Anybody can make a Google form. Google form was made, link was made, put it out. 24 hours, 500 applicants. I mean, sometimes an idea is so powerful. There's a saying that goes like this: when the time for an idea has come, it is so powerful that nothing can stop it. Sometimes you just get it right, the right time for the idea. And sometimes you have to wait 15 years. But either way, nothing begins unless you start. So the first thing you need to do to turn your idea into reality is to stop thinking about what will hold you back. Stop thinking about what you're afraid of. Stop thinking about the blocks, but just get started, man, woman, lady, child, man, boy, whatever you are, do it. Just start, So I would like to say that. Start where you are with what you have, and just create a plan that's a small little capsule of an example of what you want to do. That would be my best advice to turn any idea into reality. Start. What was the next question, my dear? I hope that answered it.
So we have Sudha asking, what is the myth about entrepreneurship which is demotivating common people?
Okay. There are some other questions out here that are also quite interesting. From ME074. It's Acharya. Choose one and explain with the mind of an entrepreneur. Extroversion, introversion, thinking, feeling, sensing, intuition. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. Okay, we'll talk
Yes.
about that too. In the meantime, let's talk about that particular question you had before this, and I'll come to this. Let's go back there. I'm so sorry. I'm jumping here from questions. There's a lot of questions here.
So
Shall I go with this? Choose one and explain with the mind of an entrepreneur.
yes, sir, you can go with that.
No. So we can put that up. Okay, let's start with this. What is the myth about entrepreneurship, which is demotivating common people? He's gone back to the other question. Okay, I think I'm going to club these two together. Okay, the myth
Okay.
about entrepreneurship, which demotivates people, and this, the mind of an entrepreneur. Along these lines, extroversion, introversion, thinking, feeling, judging. Um, okay, shall we start? Do I have your
Yes, sir.
permission?
Yes,
Okay, if you
always.
can put up that last question on the screen again, I'd be very grateful to whoever's handling this production in the background. That last question again. Okay, so here we go. Um, to be honest, I think the one thing that is a myth that demotivates a lot of people is the idea that you need money to start an enterprise. I'm telling you right now, a lot of the newest businesses I can think of, small businesses especially, have started because they've been in the kitchens at home. They love the idea of making something or baking something, and they've created a whole menu of things they know they can make from their home kitchens. You have the internet now, you have social media that is so beautifully empowering, and on the power of a kitchen and on the power of a menu and designed by a free app on your smartphone and Instagram and Facebook, you have a business. You put it out there and people order things from you. It's just so simple to start something today without the need for money. So the first thing that you have to defeat in your mind is a hurdle to entrepreneurship is that you need funds, you need cash to start. I'm telling you right now, none of the businesses I've started have been because I had my own money, right? We don't come from a wealthy family. We don't come from rich parents or mothers and dads. We come from families that have worked very hard to put food on the table. We come from families where our mothers and dads do everything to sacrifice what they love so that we have fees for school, that we have fees for college. We know what it's like to grow up in that kind of world. So for anybody to think that this is a myth, can a dropout be an entrepreneur? You're looking at one. Can somebody without money be an entrepreneur? You're looking at one. I didn't have cash. Can somebody without a building, without an office start a journey? You're looking at him. I had none. We managed. Can somebody who comes from some unknown place in the country, Meghalaya, Shillong, Nagaland, Mizoram, the Northeast, some of the most promising entrepreneurs I know who will change the face of our country in the next 10 years are from Northeast India, mark my words. And it'll happen in a place where people least expect it. In fact, these are the most beautiful stories because they come from geographies, from communities, and from cultures that our country knows so little about. So if you think that there's anything holding you back, I'm telling you, it's not what you think it is, what people say it is. It is you. At the end of the day, any entrepreneur worth her weight in gold will tell you, if I had not started, I would not be where I am. At the end of the day, it is about the start. Just start. What are you waiting for? And if you have to start, there are many ways you can do it. But before you take on an idea, I would like you to use these qualities. This is what's on the screen out here. You can read it. Extroversion, introversion, thinking, which is, that's what he's saying, feeling, sensing, intuition, judging, perceiving. Uh, these are the qualities of what we call uh, a personality assessment. I'm not going to name any technical models here because I hate technical frameworks. But I will tell you that the mind of an entrepreneur is always ticking with five qualities, okay? And I'm going to speak to you because of the various interactions I've had with entrepreneurs over the years. And remember, you don't want to hear necessarily from a titan of industry. The more conversations you have with everyday entrepreneurs, people like you and I, who have started on our journeys or who want to start, people who have been massive successes in life will come to you with a different perspective. Who you should be talking to are people who are living the journey now. Okay. So, from someone who's living the journey now, I will tell you there are five thinking caps you have to put on when you're talking about entrepreneurship. And I want to talk about each of them. The first is what I call uh, your positive thinking hat. If you're not able to look at the situations in your life as learning lessons, as things that you can grow from, everything will begin to look very negative very quickly because you will make far more mistakes than successes. So that mindset of choosing, remember, a lot of people say be positive, be positive. It's not possible. At some point or the other, you will definitely tell someone to the face, stop telling me to be positive. I can't. So the mindset of positivity has to change to a mindset of growth. And I want to just talk about, in fact, forget about five. I'll talk about just this one little thing. Somebody who has a mindset of growth is somebody who knows that life will not always be positive, but life can be filled with lessons from the failures that we achieve. I'm going to call them achieve. Do we ever hear somebody saying, I've achieved a failure? I'm telling you, if you've achieved a failure, it's because you will learn something from it. So achieve a lesson, achieve something you can grow with. And that lesson, that journey is what shapes your mind for the next big decision. So an entrepreneur is always sticking with this. A good entrepreneur will look at what she or he can learn from the moment. What are the mistakes you made and what you can learn from that. So that's the first mindset, the growth mindset, the learning mindset. That's number one, growing all the time. The second is, a lot of people teach you to think about, what if this happens, what if that happens, that mindset of fear. What if it goes wrong? What if I fail? What if things go wrong? But I want you to turn that into something else. Okay, from a mindset of failure, worrying about, constantly stressing about failing, to a mindset of uh, perspective. Perspective means looking at a situation and saying, that's how it could be seen. These are the realities attached with it. This is what can happen if I do that. Constantly thinking about what can happen after you do something, the next steps. So thinking ahead is a very important mindset, that, in fact, a mind frame. You frame your mind. Uh, Someone very wise yesterday was telling me, the word mindset itself is very limiting, isn't it? It means your mind is set, like it's in cement, it's concrete, it's stone, it can't change. But the truth is, your mind is always evolving. So I'm going to say, the second mind frame, the frame of mind you should have, is one of perspective. How would this problem be perceived by other people? How would somebody else address it? How can it be changed? How can it be shifted? How can it be altered? And that mindset of perception, of perceiving it from somebody else's point of view, is very important as you go ahead. How would other people attack that problem? How would they look at it and how would they deal with it? The next is a mindset of connection. You know, Whatever you've done in your life, your ideas, the experiences, the lessons you've learned, and the information you've gathered, at some point in your life, all the dots connect. You can take something you learned 3 years ago, connect with something you heard yesterday, connected with something you read about this morning, and connected with something in your business, and suddenly you have your own personal framework that nobody thought about. So that mindset of connection, taking ideas from different places, finding what works amongst those ideas, and then moving forward, is a beautiful mindset to have. So always connecting ideas, connecting the dots. The fourth is a mindset of, and I know a few people may not completely agree with this, but I'm going to say it anyway, a mindset of abundance. Okay, now, anything that you come into in life, you can come into it in one of two ways. One is, oh my God, why did this happen to me? I don't deserve this. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, I can't bear with this anymore. And then there's the other mindset, which says, the other mind frame, which says, this is such a great thing to happen. I'm so glad I'm doing this. I'm so happy about this situation. What can I learn from this? Where can I move from here? A lot of us are prepared throughout our lives to deal with the time. You'll have that warning in your mind, in your ear, saying to you, always be careful, huh? Don't take the risks. You cannot afford to go wrong. You have to do it the right way. But when you hear this over a long period of time, the one big thing that follows is, one day you're going to be very successful, and then don't show off. Don't show people what you're making. Don't tell people what's in your bank. Don't go and buy a new car. Don't go and buy a new house. Okay, there are people who will tell you that you shouldn't show what you've done, and I agree with that. But there's a problem with this, because when you are in a position in your life, and I hope you will be there, when everything you ever wanted, all your dreams, your money, your wealth, your family, your support systems, your home, your gadi, your khana, your kapra, your makan, whatever, everything you thought of in your life that you would achieve, yes, there will come a point in your life when you can have whatever you want. But has anybody ever trained you for how to deal with that time in your life? Does anybody ever prepare you for what you should do when you have a lot? Never. What people will train us to do is what you should do when you don't have anything, right? Tell me I'm wrong. Everywhere you go in life, people will say, prepare for that time when you have nothing, save all you can, be prepared for the bad times. But does anybody ever tell you, be prepared for the good times? And that's what needs to change. Because we're approaching all our dreams with so much fear, we don't see the blessings around us when they occur. I've started my first small team. Nothing to fear. That's a blessing. I've got my first big 10 lakh rupee check, 1 million rupees. When that happens for you, let me know. This is a good thing. It's a blessing. I'm grateful for it. I've made my first 1 crore work order. A blessing. I'm grateful for it. My company was valued at $10 million today. It's a blessing. I'm grateful for it. But no one ever tells you what to do when you have those blessings in your life. Everybody tells you what to do to prepare for not having the blessings. So, the one mindset that people don't talk about that I want you to start thinking of is the mindset of abundance. What should you do when you have a lot? How will you use your wealth, your status, your fame, your success? When you think about your life like that, it's like a magnet. It pulls you towards that direction, and no one can change your mindset. No one can change your unless you change your mind frame. So frame your future in a positive light. There will come a time when I have enough, when my team will have enough, when the opportunities are great. What will I do in a time of abundance? Will I waste the money? Will I spend it uselessly? Will I take my wealth and invest it in the wrong places? Or will I be wise? Will I choose to grow and also choose to help my team to grow? Will I benefit my family and benefit my community? But what you do when you have abundance is as important as what you do when you have nothing. So that's the fourth thing. The fifth thing that I want you to really focus on is, I'm just going to say it, a mindset of tenacity. The word tenacity comes from this idea, this quality of being tenacious. That means you never give up, no matter what is thrown at you. Your ability to, if somebody knocks you down, you get back up on your feet and you keep moving forward. You have to know it is a very harsh reality that there will be more people knocking you down than holding you up. And if you're lucky, you'll have a big enough team to hold you up and take you forward. But if you're not, most of the time you will fall and you will be alone. You have to be ready for that time with resilience in your heart and your mind. And I know a lot of people say avoid avoid that failure at all costs. Don't go through it. You should know it in advance. But we don't. Most of the time we will go through the failure when we're already at a point of breaking. And it'll be too late to do anything to change it. At that time in your life, what will your mind frame be? Will it be one of giving up or one of tenacity? Tenacity is, like your hand on your fist. I will move forward. I will not give up. And for a lot of us, including myself, who may be successful early on in life, unless you go through very, very hard times, you will never know how to respect the good times. So be tenacious. Choose not to give up. Go through that bad time because when you're out at the other end, that mindset of tenacity is what will make you a warrior. And it is the warriors who win, not the fighters who fight for one day. That's important. So those are my mindsets.
Um, so we are having a question. What is the biggest business lesson that you have learned and that makes you feel that this is the one which most of the people are missing?
Know when to give up. This is a problem for a lot of people. We don't know when is the right time to stop a business enterprise, and we keep thinking that if we carry on and move on, things will change, something good will happen. But I want to be very practical with you. Sometimes you have to recognize that the idea has reached its end, and you must do what's right to close that unit down before you lose any more liabilities to your optimism. Optimism is good, but you have to be a realist too. You have to be able to see what is the situation truly like right now. Sometimes the idea has been great and it'll last for 5 years, it'll do very well, and then it's old, it's stale. Either you change and you innovate and you do something new with that idea, or you simply move into a different direction, closing this down while you're ahead. So there's a saying that goes, quit while you're ahead. That's important to know. The one important lesson was learning that I didn't know when to quit. There was a division that I ran for many years. It wasn't making a very big profit. It was a telecom distribution business that I ran for almost 7 years. And we took this particular brand. I won't name the brand, but we took this brand from zero to a 2 crore monthly market plus in a local market as distributors, as operators, as people who were channel partners. And I'll never forget how difficult it was to close that division down because there was a lot behind it. That's for another story, another day. But when we made the decision to close it down, we also made the decision to take care of the people that we had to let go of. We ensured they got jobs. We ensured that all our dues were cleared. We ensured that our liabilities were taken care of. But the personal hurt and the financial burden that we had to bear because we didn't stop when we should have. We went on making losses for a long time, thinking that the market would come around. That is where valuations can get you into trouble as an entrepreneur. Today, it's a market of valuation. The companies with the best valuations get the best investments. But sometimes what you discover is those valuations and those investments are driven by deep, deep discounts on products, deep, deep losses on offers that the company will never make back. And one day, the company has to make good on all those returns. And there's not enough money in the bank. It's just investors' money that's been put into your organization and lost in offers, lost in discounts, lost in building crazy infrastructure, lost in creating great offices, but no values in your workspace. So, the biggest lesson I've learned in life as an entrepreneur is know when to let go, but also be very clear that your values have to help you decide whether you stay on that path or whether you get off that path. So your values, whatever you choose to use as your value systems, truly believe in them and bring them into your journey as an entrepreneur. That is the biggest lesson I've learned. Your journey has to be a reflection of your values, or it falls by the wayside.
Okay, sir. So one last question for me, sir. I came across this statement on your Instagram that states that entrepreneurship is not a bed of roses, and it is a journey that begins with a dream, and nourished with the family, the support of the family, and a beautiful team. So that was such a nice sentence. Can you elaborate the emotion behind that?
Can you repeat that last line again? I lost your connection there.
Okay, sir. So the sentence was entrepreneurship is not a bed of roses. It is a journey that begins with a dream and is nourished by the love and support of the family and a beautiful team. So, what was the emotion behind this?
Oh wow. I think I wrote that in 2014 or 15. I'm not sure when. This was when we were at I remember the sentiment behind it though. I don't know when it got published officially, but the reason I put that down there was you'll go through it too. I hope you don't because it's a tough thing to go through when you really don't know whether what you're doing is really working at all. Sometimes you'll feel like the idea that you had is just not worth it and nobody wants it. Sometimes you've had a good few years and then you see yourself going down, and you don't know how to bring yourself back up. And most of the time, like I said, you don't know when to give up. You're making losses, you're making wrong choices, and you just go on and on and on because you hope somewhere along the path there will be a rescue plan. And it doesn't show up, and you hit rock bottom and you're lost. It is in times like those that you realize that the true fruit of your labor is where you watered your grass. If you watered your garden with the right quality of nutrients, with the right values, with the right choices, and with the right kind of spirit and hope and love, my hope is that you will be left with at least one solid treasure. In the business field, that treasure is your team. That asset is your team. The other asset is your mind that has learned from the lessons of the past. And the third asset is your family that has stood beside you. They are not directly involved in the business, but they are the framework that supports your dreams because, hey, ask any entrepreneur who's married to anyone who's not an entrepreneur. Your life is the reason why your partner goes through so much stress. They watch you suffer, they watch you rise, they watch you fall, and they watch you go through the emotions as you go through these phases. And no matter what is said and done, guys, entrepreneurship is not a bed of roses. On a day when you get your first, I hope, multi-crore check in the bank and you've got good revenues coming in, Even on that day, you'll not be happy because you have to worry about where this money is going to be used. You will then be worried about problems of scale. Now I'm this big. What do I do next? How do I keep leading my team? Will I get the same revenue next year? Will I make the same losses this year? The problems never end. So you have to remember, although it's not a bed of roses, there are a few little spots on your garden that are very, very stable. You know what those spots are? Your family. If you have a daughter like I do, then it's your child. If you have a son like I do, then it'll be your son. If it's a loving partner in your life, like I have, then it's your wife or your husband. If it's your mother and father who have believed in you, although they said to you, "Oh, you should complete your education," but you said no. You are very fortunate to have that in your life. But it's not going to happen for everybody. Most people I know have an unsupportive family, have parents who don't ever want to see you risk your life as an entrepreneur. You have a girlfriend who will call you a loser because you want to go after what you think is an entrepreneurial dream. You will have a boyfriend who'll tell you you don't belong in the world of work, you belong in the kitchen. Or you will have somebody who will look at you and say, "This is a stupid idea, give up now." The only place on that garden that needs the most tending, that needs the most attention, is your mind. You have to be absolutely sure that no one should be able to take you away from the path that only you know you were born to live. You know it. Nobody else has the right to know what you know about your life. Nobody else has the privilege of being able to live your life. But remember, if you're going to go down the entrepreneurship path, it is not a bed of roses. But hopefully, you can choose to make somebody else's life a bed of roses. And hopefully, because of that, those blessings, that good energy will come back to you and your business because you operated on the one common human value that all great businesses are built from, a value of kindness and respect. And I hope you live out your journeys with kindness and with respect for your teams, but most of all for your dreams.
It was quite inspiring. I have no words for that actually. And that's it. We have reached the end of this today's session, sir. So I'm quite sad that our conversation has come to an end so fast. So I guess our viewers feel the same. So, sir, what's your feeling about our event, and how do you feel after interacting with us more than an hour?
You know, while I'm going through this, there's somebody who's asked a very beautiful question here. Can you suggest some books for entrepreneurship? Can I answer that, please? I'd like to answer that
Yes,
question.
yes,
There's
yes.
a there's a very, very inspiring entrepreneur who I love a great deal. Okay, uh, he is not from India. This is a British entrepreneur, Mr. Richard Branson. He is called the original entrepreneur. He's a wonderful gentleman, somebody who I look up to. I want you, if you ever have the time, his book changed my life. I read it when I was much younger, and it made me want to be an entrepreneur. It's called Losing My Virginity. Have you heard of the brand Virgin? Virgin Records, Virgin Music, Virgin Airlines? Yes. So he's the founder of the Virgin Business Group. And if you ever had to read a book that can teach you about the ups and downs of entrepreneurship and the mindset you need to survive, it would be, for me, it is this book that got me started. Richard Branson, Richard, Branson, Branson. And the book is called Losing My Virginity. It's a beautiful biography of his life and something that is a must read for every entrepreneur. There's a couple of other books and titles that I would love to recommend. Uh, there are some very famous authors that I really, really think you should read before you even think about becoming an entrepreneur. Because I'm telling you, like I said, I hate the word entrepreneur. Instead of that, I call it somebody who has personal impact. If you want to have impact in your life, remember it starts in your mind and in your heart. So this has to be aligned with your goals, with your vision. And any entrepreneur who uses both of these facets, the mind and the heart, is not just an entrepreneur. She or he is a statesman, a leader, somebody who leads by example and not because you've been given authority or a chair. You lead because you know you can and you deliver it with example. So I'd start with that book, and hopefully, if I'm ever able to pen my thoughts down and put out a book, you will all read it as well, and maybe it'll be of some value to you too. And I will call the book Expect a Miracle because that's what entrepreneurship is for so many of the millions of entrepreneurs in our small little towns in India. Without the small and medium sector, without the small micro businesses, the local kirana walas, we don't have an economy. It starts with them. And for them, every day is a miracle. And every day we can open our businesses and stay alive is a miracle. So my book will be called Expect a Miracle, and I hope you will all read it and put it in your library when the time comes to release it.
Sure, sir. I'll definitely read it. So, so how do you feel after interacting with us?
I feel I've been looking at all these conversations, and I must say, I wish I could see your faces. It's the only thing that I miss is not being able to see people on a screen. In fact, can I add on GB, a gift of internet for your session? Yes, you can, Ganesh. There's some good sessions here. So, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, my last words to you are don't wait. What you will learn, what you will achieve by starting, no business college, no business magazine can teach you. You have to do it on your own to really understand what it takes to stand on your own 2 feet as an entrepreneur. And even if it doesn't work, the lessons you will learn, you will take into your career. And that career will be special simply because you've been through the journey that other people have not. So I wish you all the best with your dreams. I've loved engaging with you. I think this whole forum for especially the technical and engineering colleges in the country, the amount of universities and colleges you've partnered with, the schools, it's just tremendous the effort. And I want to salute the leadership team of PlayDex. I wish you were all on the screen so I could thank you all personally. But it is a very, very promising platform. Mark my words, you will be engaging with thousands of youth in the years to come. It will be very sad if you allow PlayDex to die a natural death because of a lack of good leadership. You must have consistent, sustainable leadership for PlayDex to be bigger than TEDx, bigger than TED. It's possible. You can do it.
Yes.
So all the best to each of you, and my best wishes to the management committee and the leadership team and to the founder. And good luck to you all. God bless.
Thank you, sir. I heartily thank you again for accepting us to be in this session today, and best wishes for your further adventures too. From the whole team, I'm wishing you best wishes. So
Thank
it
you,
was
my
so
dear.
pleasant interacting with you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Please catch up with me on my maybe on my Instagram inbox or on Facebook. You can all just look out for Mark Stone Inspires on the Instagram handle and connect with me. That's where I'm mostly online. And if you ever need any advice in my own little way, if I can give you some help or support, I'd be very happy to do it. Okay, so all the best to all the personal impact leaders, not just entrepreneurs, but impact leaders out there. Good luck. Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. So that's it for the evening viewers. That was such a great session, actually, and we have many upcoming sessions like this coming up. So stay tuned for it. More exciting sessions. And this is Satvika signing off. Thank you.